Hello, and today we'll be playing Temptations Ballad. The morning sun blared across the skyline, across the sky like Hello, and today we'll be playing Temptations Ballad. The morning sun blared across the sky like a festering wound. I stood in my eyes, pain splitting through my skull like a hot knife as I stumbled through the dark alley. Confusion slowly surfaced beneath the pain. I blinked through unfamiliar eyes and struggled to regain bearings of my surroundings. Where am I? I glanced at the posters plastering the dingy alley, advertising local festivities in the coming days. No, this wasn't supposed to happen. How long have I been asleep? If the Firefly Festival was mere days away, a week then, perhaps more, that could only mean one thing. This flesh has developed a fault. Fatigue weighed like lead across every limb, every muscle. I could feel my body scream in protest as I struggled to step out of this musty alleyway and into the city proper. This long, unintended nap suddenly threw a wince in the works. No matter, there was still time to salvage my plans and put everything back in motion. I sucked in a deep breath into my burning lungs and lifted my head, blinking wearily against the rising sun. The city of Axia, my city, famed across the kingdom for its advanced arcane research, its vast array of hard-working craftsmen, and home to the esteemed royal family of old. Axia was a noble city, indeed. Some dare say it was even the center of the world, favored by the Creator and her infinite blessings. Others would call it a monument to man's hubris, but I took in a deep breath and looked across the bustling streets, allowing the sky's golden hues and cooling winds to wash over me. Whatever people say, no one can deny its beauty. My chest fluttered with fondness as I leaned against the alley wall while slowly taking in view. I love this city, and this city at its so-called center. I truly did. And yet, this world is rotten, finite. I reached out my feathered hands and grasped the morning rays between my fingertips. Was all burned within me, brighter and fiercer than any pain this decrepit body could inflict upon me. I hereby swear, with what little strength yet flows in my veins, this rotted, decaying world will be made better, and I pity the fools who dare stand in my way. Chapter 1, The Liar, the Carpenter, and the Chosen One. Mawada's District, Bonebreaker, Mercenary, Company, Guild Building. Well, calling it a guild building was a little generous. This place was more of an abandoned tavern that was haphazardly renovated into a semi-usable living space. Mugs of mead littered the broken down bar along with racks of weapons and overdue bills with the Adventurers Guild. It was an unorthodox company, to say the least. The walls of the old tavern, or rather the Bonebreaker Mercenary Guild, were constantly droning with the sounds of drunk mercenaries, clattering weapons, and barely hidden sensual moans rumbling from the supply closets. It was highly recommended that visitors avoid the backroom supply closets lest they find themselves an awkward sight. Also fun. Take your pick. The Bonebreaker Mercenary Company has always been just like its captain and namesake. Everyone's here to kick ass and have a good time. Or rather, almost everyone. The mirthful ruckus of shouting drunk mercenaries was audible even in the attic, albeit slightly muffled. It was just quiet enough for Cole to practice his lute in relative peace. The young hyena strummed the tattered strings of his instrument, humming softly over the intoxicated chattering from downstairs. He was technically supposed to be doing weapons training at the moment, though Cole was never one to simply do as he was told. He plucked a C number and immediately winced at the sound. Out of tune already? This old thing ain't gonna last much longer. Oh shit. There was an ugly twang, followed by a sharp yelp. As Cole had tightened the pegs of his decrepit lute, a string snapped and whipped painfully against his finger. He winced and suckled his thumb in dismay. Bullocks. Looks like that's the end of practice for today. How the hell am I gonna get another loot without Papa finding out? Suddenly, the entire building shook with a resounding boom as the heavy entrance doors were kicked open. The guild rumbled with whooping and hollering cheers for the dozens of mercenaries in the lobby. Cole's shoulders slumped as he slowly forced himself onto his feet. And he's back. The din of hollering men was enough to razzle the mugs on the bar tables. The boss is back. There's our man. Morrow, how was the job? Set your traps. The room immediately fell silent. Morrow Bonebreaker grumbles as he stomped through the door, his massive shadow darkening the entire room as he turned towards the bar. A dozen fellow mercenaries spilled into the lobby along with their captain, each singling various steel axes and swords over their shoulders. Morrow's glass eye twinkled in the dim room as he walked, his very presence commanding the attention of every person in the vicinity. He snatched a mug of mead from one of his mercenaries and downed it in one gulp before slamming it down on the bar table. The large towering hyena wiped his muzzle with a disgruntled sigh. Horrible, utterly rubbish and disappointing. The moment those bandits saw us bonebreakers approaching, they dropped their weapons and surrendered while shaking in their little boots. The old lady down the street could have put up a better fight than those sorry sots. Weren't folks saying that the city was supposed to get more rowdy now that the king and queen kicked the bucket? Better my ass. My axe hasn't tasted a good fight in years. The other mercenaries in the lobby grumbled in disappointment. Ah, sucks, Captain. You mean you didn't even get to fight? A sly grin suddenly stretched across Marvel's face as he thumbed the handle of his great axe. Well, I didn't say that now, did I? A few of those measly bandits were stinking mages. Shot a few little fireballs at us, thinking they were smart. Morrow lit his lips. Nothing quite as satisfying as clobbering a few magic-y nitwits to the ground. Still doesn't make up for the disappointing fight, though. A voice suddenly mumbled from behind the heavy entrance doors. Really now, the bandits were arrested and we got paid. Isn't that enough? Duh. But what's the point of being a merc if we can't even have fun kicking ass? The front door creaked open as another sort of hyena heaved a large sack through the guild's entrance. Having some mercenaries, Captain Right-Hand Man rolled his eyes as he lugged the heavy bag of coins onto the bar. The money, a staple job, the big sack that we're all living in. It's a guild building. Thomas rolled his eyes and ignored his overly cheerful captain, and the fact that the city wasn't even clamoring to arrest us anymore. That should be plenty reason enough. Dah, lovey. There you go, talking sense again. Can't you just let me complain in peace for once? Thomas tapped his chin thoughtfully. Nah. Somebody's got to keep you in line. You ain't no fun anymore. Hammers tried to hide a fond smile as he turned towards the dozens of other mercenaries in the room. He plucked a handful of copper and silver coins and settled them onto the bar. By the way, everyone, Captain says drinks are on him tonight. The entire guild erupted in cheers of whoops and hollers as all the rowdy mercenaries raised their tankards in glee. Yes, you're the best captain we could have ever asked for, boss. You bet your ass I am. Morrow chuckled and threw a loving arm around Hammerster's shoulders as they settled down at a table. A few of the mercenaries working at the bar eagerly passed more tankards of ale to the pair of hyenas. Morrow grinned and took another deep gulp. Gotta make our own fun in this boring-ass city. Now don't we? Speaking of which, Hammer shot Morrow a withering look as he felt a large hand snake down the small of his back and fiddled teasingly at the hem of his breeches. A little early in the morning for this, don't you think? Nah, lovey, the job was so boring. You don't mind cheering me up a little, don't ya? Oh. Morrow felt a sharp pinch and retracted his arm with a pout. Maybe later. Think you have something you need to do? Something to do? Morrow's eyebrows perked up in realization. Oh, right. How could I have forgotten? He leaped up and began rummaging furiously through the sack on the bar. Morrow glanced up at the nearby mercenaries, getting deep into their cups. By the way, have any of y'all seen my boy? I think we heard I'm strumming his darn lute in the attic again. The kid should really let loose and join us at the bar more often. Morrow's chest swelled with pride. Ah, there's my talented little lad. I was refining his hobbies. Y'all could learn a bit from his dedication. Morrow turned towards the stairway and stomped his feet. Cole, come down here. Your papa's got something for you. Yeesh. Ah, there he is, my darling boy. You know I can hear you without all the hollering, Papa. Ah. Cole yelped as a massive hand clapped him on the back and set his tiny flame face first into the floor. Ow, Papa. Why is my shoulder still not recovered yet? Nah, sorry there. I just can't help but get excited from seeing my pride and joy. Especially when he's so dedicated to practicing his passion so damn much. How's that little lute of yours tweeting here? Oh, Cole's shoulder slump. It broke when I was practicing this morning. Weren't you supposed to do some weapons training this morning? Not now, Yami. I'm trying to be a positive influence here. Now, where was I? Surprise, my boy. Morrow grinned gleefully as he pulled something large from inside the sack. Cole felt his jaw drop. He watched his father slowly unwrap a brand new, glistening lute, furnished brilliantly with handsome, dark wood. He hesitantly reached out to grab it, his paws gingerly tracing the cool, smooth surface. Is this for me? Thank you so much, Papa. You really shouldn't have. Morrow barked with a laugh and slapped his son on the shoulder. Nonsense. Anything for my darling boy. The bone breakers have gotten a lot of jobs lately since the king and queen quote. Had to spend all that corn on something. A wave of warm giddiness washed over Cole's chest as he gently strummed the strings of his new lute. Sharp and cheerful notes rang out, perfectly tuned. Cole laughed, delighted. This is incredible. Thank you so much, Papa. Like I said before, anything for my darling son. Cole suddenly grimaced as he glanced at his father. Oh, great. He's getting one of those daydreaming looks in his eyes again. One day, you will grow into a great man who will take over the Bonebreaker mercenary company as my successor. Ah, the speech. Cole stood up straight and tried his utmost to resist rolling his eyes. You will grow to be a strong mercenary and an even greater man than I. The Bonebreaker's legacy will be yours to lead down to the glorious path it is destined to follow. People will sing stories of your deeds for ages to come. Yes, I've memorized this whole bit, Papa. Not to be pessimistic or anything, but have you noticed that your son is like almost half the size of the smallest merc in the company? I can barely even lift an axe. Worry not, my dear boy. I understand your pain. I was a late bloomer as well. Yeah, here I am, the captain of the greatest and most fearsome mercenary company in all of Axia and the kingdoms beyond. Late bloomer. Papa, I'm 23 now. Pretty sure the chances of a growth spurt are miraculously low at this point. Cole gulped as his father leaned down on one knee and placed a supportive hand on his shoulder. His face was brimming with such faith and pride that it was hard to look at directly. No matter the odds, know that I believe in you. You're gonna show the world what you're made of one day, and the world will watch in awe. Remember, boy, you are the son of Marvel, Bonebreaker. Cole felt an uncomfortable wiggling of doubt rising in his throat, but at the sight of his father's intense and loving confidence, he swallowed it back down. Sure, Papa. One day, Marvel's laugh boomed through the building. Cole yelped as a playful hand ruffled his hair. That's my boy. Now, like anything in life, that day won't come without putting some work into it. That's why I think it's high time you start taking on mercenary jobs again. What? But I still haven't recovered from the injuries from my last job. Cole jabbed the finger desperately at the bandages hanging from his shoulder. Bah, it's been weeks. If it ain't getting better with you cooped up at home, it'll get better if you go out for some air. Mama's voice turned gentle. I ain't asking you for the world, boy. Not until you're ready. We'll take it one step at a time for today. Just go out and take one job listing from the Adventures Guild and bring something home from your work. Be it a few coppers or vast heapings of treasure. Know that I'll always be proud of what you do. The life of a great man is a long one. There's no need to rush, but we should always be moving forward. And Mr. Affection and dread rolled through Cole's chest as he glanced between his father's brimming pride and the new furnace lute in his hands. His grip tightened on it as he sighed. Right, Pa. I'll do my best. Ah, boy, go show what you're made of. If you're running into any cowardly magic users out there, give her a good old throttling for me. You know what I always say about magic? Cole sighed. It's a tour of the weak and spineless. Ha! And don't you forget it. Nothing's more satisfying than clobbering a wizard across the face while they're crying, "My spells, my spells." Right, of course. Anyway, I gotta go show the world what I'm made of. I'll see you later. Take care, my son. Cole grabbed his salute and scuttled towards the door. His gaze was trained at his feet, far from the beaming and loving grin of his father's face. Cole had scarcely taken a step outside when he was pulled aside by Hammers, who was wearing his usual gruff look of concern. Cole mentally groaned as he was dragged to the quiet supply closets in the back of the tavern guild building. He chuckled at the usual sound of low moans rumbled from many of the closets. All the men in the Bone Breakers mercenary company knew what happens back here. Well, Hammy, dragging me straight to the supply closets is a little duet, ain't it? Plus, aren't you all chummy with Papa? I hate to be an awkward homewrecker. Hammer's eyebrows shot up so quickly they almost left the face. What? No, that's not why. Ugh. Hammers muttered under his breath and slammed his fist against the thin wooden walls. Quiet down! The moans from the various closets grew slightly more muffled and quiet, just slightly. Someone from one of the closets whispered a very quiet, "Sorry," followed quickly by a chorus of snickers. Bunch of horny twats. Anyway, on to real business. Hammers suddenly swiped at Cole's bandaged shoulder. Hey! Cole stumbled backwards in shock. Hammer's eyes narrowed. The bandages abruptly faded into nothingness like wells of heat on a hot summer day. Underneath Cole's shoulder appeared completely uninjured. The air buzzed. It was faint, but it was unmistakably the soft glow of magic. A minor illusion, huh? When did you learn a trick like that? Cole's breath hissed. He felt his stomach drop. I can explain. Please don't tell Papa. Shh. The hand rested gently on his shoulder as Cole fought the urge to flee. Emma sighed. Relax, Cole. I'm not here to get you in trouble. Not everyone's as old-fashioned as your father. Honestly, most of the boys in the Bone Breakers are fine with magic. Cole let out a breath of relief and scowled. If you were fine with it, if you were fine with it, you could have just left me alone. Hammer sighed and rubbed his temples. I'm just worried about you, kiddo. I think it's high time you have a long conversation with your pa. Cole's scowl deepened and he crossed his arms offensively. What are you on about? Hammer scratched his chin and closed his eyes as though cautiously preparing his next words. Are you sure you really want to take over the Bone Breakers when you're older? What? Anger surged through Cole's chest as he gripped the cold wooden handle of his new loot. Of course I do. Papa didn't raise a disappointment. I'm not saying that you're a disappointment. Are you? What exactly are you trying to say then? Cole took a step forward, the front of his mane standing on end. I am Colony Bonebreaker, son of Marvel Bonebreaker, the most famous and feared mercenary in all of Axia and the kingdom beyond. I don't need Papa's little lackey to tell me what to do. A heavy, tense silence hung over the hallway as Cole glared into Hummus's unflinching eyes. Finally, the older man sighed. All right, then. You'll follow your father's footsteps. What about your magic? Oh, if you're trying to blackmail. Hammers held up his hands. No, I'm trying to hold a conversation, kiddo. I just think that most of your talks with your father have been rather one-sided. Wouldn't it be healthier if you two sat down and took some time to talk about how you really felt? At the very least, let him know about your talents. Magic is a tool of the weak and spineless. And you're neither weak nor spineless. You got real skill with that magic of yours, kid. Or are you just going to keep lying and hiding it from your pa to live up to his ridiculous expectations? Yes, there was something satisfying about getting under Hammer's skin. Papa's right-hand man usually held himself with unwavering sternness. Now he was just massaging his temples in frustration. You certainly have your pa's hard-headed stubbornness. Are you truly determined to pretend to be a big axe wielding barbarian for the rest of your life when you clearly don't want to? Papa is moral bone breaker. What are people gonna say if they find out that the strongest mercenary in the land has a weak little pipsqueak for a son who can barely swing a sword? I'll fake it till I make it somehow. Lying to Papa feels better than disappointing him. If Maul's ego was truly that fragile, I'll smack him out of his guild myself. Go talk to your father, Cole. He loves you dearly, magic or otherwise. I'm still here to understand. Yeah, sure. And I'll be the next king of Axia, Cole thought to himself as he stomped past Hammond with a huff. The wooden floors creaked as the older man turned to follow him. The guy's worse than a mother hen. I gotta get out of here. Cole glanced up with a smirk. Speaking of uncomfortable conversations, when are you gonna finally propose to Papa for real? Or vice versa? With other calm collectiveness, Hammers held immediately collapsed as his face erupted into a harsh red hue. Excuse me? That's none of your business. Cole smirked as he sailed past the spluttering hyena. I'm just saying, maybe once you're officially my second lesser dad, I actually listen to your nonsense. Maybe. Anyway, ta-ta. I got an adventuring job to warm myself out of. With that, Cole stomped out the door and left the spluttering hammers behind. Market District, Sparrow's Roost, Inn and Tavern. Meanwhile, across the city, in an actual Foxley tavern, a young badger slumped his way home with heavy shoulders and an even heavier heart. Sid Swikewood's face was grim as he stumbled home to the tavern that his mother ran, returning home empty-handed yet again. And this time, he returned bright and early in the morning. The day had barely begun with cool morning dew settling on the wet grass below. As Sid approached the steps of Sparrow's Roost Inn and Tavern, his eyes lit up at the sight of a familiar face waiting for him. Hey, Betsy, how's business at the tavern going today? Hope the customers have been treating you well. Sid sighed and plopped down on the large stall next to his longtime friend. As for me, well, the morning just started and it's already a set day. He buried his face in his hands. Got kicked out of my scribe apprenticeship. Third day on the job. That's gotta be a new record. Mom's gonna kill me at this rate. What am I supposed to tell her? Sid shook his head and grabbed a nearby broom lying next to Sparrow's Roost Inn's entrance. He absentmindedly began sweeping the dirt and grime off the tavern steps. Rhythmic chores always helped him clear away dreadful thoughts. The chores also helped relieve some extra work from his mother's already massive workload, which was always a plus, since his mother was always working, bustling about in the tavern and serving customers day and night. His heart lurched painfully in his chest when he returned home every night to see her slumped over a chair in exhaustion. Her hands had grown coarse with calluses, and she has complained of back pain as of late. Naturally, Sid often showed up at the Sparrow's Roost Inn and Tavern to help out whenever he could. Usually because he got kicked out of yet another apprenticeship job. Sid sighed and paused his sweeping to look down at Betsy. She silently stared back at him, ever the good listener. Hey, Betsy, this is like the fifth apprenticeship I got fired from. I really want to make Mom happy and get a cushy job, but none of this feels right for me, you know? And Reed's chuckle left Sid's throat as he tried to imagine himself as a scribe. Me, cooped up in a cushy commoner job? I mean, I'm a commoner through and through, but I always dreamed of being something bigger, you know? Sid twirled his broom with practiced swings, slashing at the air enthusiastically as though it were a sword. Now, said the adventurer, that rolls off the tongue way better. Going out into the world to perform heroic deeds, amassing glory and saving the day like the champions in the storybooks. What do you think, Betsy? Rabbit. Betsy, as usual, did not answer for the simple fact that she was a total. Ever the good listener, she continued staring up at Sid with deep, understanding eyes as he perched on her usual basking walk. Right, I make a fantastic adventurer. Boys will sing on my legend one day, just you watch. Yeah, huh. Sid swung his broom sword in the air with wild and brass sweeps. He imagined fending off an invisible foe as he jabbed and thrusted his heroic weapon to and fro. Yeah, take that. Whoops. His foot suddenly slipped on the wet cobblestone and he tumbled forward with the grace of a damp log. As Sid tumbled, he lost his grip on his very heroic broom sword and yelped as it soared into the air. Right as the tavern doors creaked open. Sid, dear, are you? Else. Sid's mother winced as the flying broom handle smacked her right between the eyes. Mom, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to. He was to his mom's side as he gingerly rubbed her bruised forehead. Elia looked up at her son with a exasperated yet fond smile as he pinched her cheeks. It's quite all right, dear. Your mother is made of tougher stuff than this. Were you pretending to be a sword fighter with a broom again? Because the windows were open and the whole tavern could hear and see you. What? They saw? Sid's ears flattened against his head as he flushed pink. That was a private conversation. With your father? Elia glanced down at Betsy doubtfully. Excuse you. Betsy is a noble toad and a good friend. Sid watched as his mother sighed deeply and buried her face in her hands. It looked like she was doing her best to keep a straight face and avoid chuckling or crying. Sid couldn't tell at this point. Oh, sweetheart, I heard your conversation earlier. Were you fired from your apprenticeship again? Sid showed a slump as he stared anywhere but his mother's prying eyes. Well, fired is a strong word. I prefer the term gently let go. Of course, dear. He felt a gentle wing on his arm. Sid glanced down. His mouth looked so tiny in comparison. The scribe, the blacksmith, even the wood furnaces. You've been let go from practically every apprenticeship job in our neighborhood. Sweetheart, I may not be as charismatic as your frog friend here, but please don't be afraid to speak to me if something's wrong. Nothing's wrong. Well, kinda. Guilt started creeping through his chest. They've been through this conversation countless times. I just can't get into any of these ordinary jobs. The thought of getting stuck indoors as a scribe for the rest of my life feels miserable. I want to go out there and see the world. Don't you want your son to succeed as a great and glorious adventurer? I know I have it in me to be somebody instead of another commoner out in the market district. Somebody great. Elia's grip on his arm tightened as worried trepidation filled her face. Oh, Sid, I know this is difficult, but the reason your father and I work ourselves to the bone day in, day out is because we hope to create a better future for you. We work so hard because we hope you don't have to. I want you to be happy as well, but but many adventurers often don't return home. The thought of you going out into the world alone. Elia snapped her beak out. Elia snapped her beak shut civilly. Ah, Mom, don't worry. I'm the toughest cookie around. Are you really never going to let me be an adventurer, ever? The Adventurers Guild is just a short walk away in the Marauders district. It's so close I can't. It's so close I can practically taste it. Well, I suppose. Yes. Is that a yes? No. Elias sighed as Sid emotionally deflated like a trampled balloon. Oh, don't give me those sad puppy eyes. Your father and I had a long talk this morning and we came to a decision. She took a deep breath. If you're going to go out doing wildly dangerous adventuring jobs, it would be a great comfort to your father and I if you had trusted friends by your side. If you find a few dependable friends to form an adventuring party with, I suppose you can go to the Adventuring Guild. Sid perked up and then immediately groaned. What are you to assume I have friends in general? People always laugh at me. Well, perhaps if you stop talking to your frog all the time. Betsy is a toad. Aaliyah sighed with a defeated smile and patted her son on the shoulder. This was impressive considering she could barely reach it even when standing on her tiptoes. All right, dear, why don't you get out of here while the day is still young? Go make up about the Marauders district and see if you can make any friends. Oh, and before I forget, I packed you some snacks in case you get hungry later. Be sure to share them with your friends if you make any later today. Sid stood stunned while his mother stuffed several wrapped sandwiches into his tiny pockets. Wait, you really good? You really giving me a chance? Thank you so much, Mom. I won't disappoint you. You never do. I love you, sweetheart. Sid was already prancing halfway down the street, practically vibrating with excitement. Love you too, Mom. Oh, and if you don't manage to find anyone for your adventuring party, your father's looking for an assistant at his cheese shop. And he's gone. Elias clasped her hands together and tried to ignore the anxious knot tugging at her chest. She looked down at Betsy, croaking happily on her walk. Oh, Wise Frog, what do you think? What are the chances my son comes back a wiser and more sensible young man? Elia sighed. I thought so. Church District, Grand Cathedral. The Grand Cathedral stood coldly against the morning air. The sun's harsh rays were flattening off its bright walls like jagged knives. Most of the inhabitants of the Grand Cathedral had already left the main hall to perform their daily duties, save one. A lone knight stood silent in an empty corner of the hall, her sword and shield drawn ready at her side. Her blade glinted off the morning sun in precise swings. Her stance and posture were as picture-perfect as they were rigid and anxious. Artemis Johanna Gaudier resumed her daily training as a holy knight of the church, as she had done every day as far as she could remember. Her blade hand paused as cheerful voices echoed from one of the cathedral's side entrances. Mr. Katrina glided elegantly into the main hall, with half a dozen church youths following closely behind like a flock of ducklings. She carried an iron commanding presence as she directed the youths to their duties. The floors on the side halls will need a thorough sweeping, along with the entirety of the east wing. Still, church youths mumbled but nodded quietly. At the side of the bishop, Artemis hastily sheathed her sword and bowed deeply. Bishop Katrina barely spared her a glance. A few of the church youths suddenly noticed her and stared. Hello. Artemis gave the small crowd a silent little wave. Most of the youths sneered and scrunched their noses. Several whispered amongst each other with less than kind words. Artemis dropped her hand back to her side dejectedly. Why is she even here? All that little mud ever does is pretend to swing her sword around the cathedral all day while the rest of us do all the hard work, and she's not even a real knight. Talk about unfair. Bishop Katrina's heels clicked sharply on the cathedral's stone floor as she turned towards him. Whispering is quite rude, children. The whole group bowed their heads apologetically. One of the bolder youths glanced up defiantly. Apologies, Your Excellency. We were just a little curious. Yes, it appears many of you are ignorant of certain important topics. You all surely know of the Creator's chosen. Throughout history, our great Creator has chosen champions worthy of her holy light to protect the church from the evils of this world. It is prophesied that each chosen will play an important role in guarding the world from destruction. Our Artemis is one such chosen. On the night of her birth, they say a beam of celestial light descended from the heavens above and blessed Artemis with the Creator's most holy strength. That is why she carries such powerful celestial magic within her veins. The bishop's gaze was sharp and cold, and it did not flicker towards Artemis for a single moment as he told her tale. One day, when the chosen awakens her full potential, she leads the forces of our people and delivers the world from a terrible fate. Until that time comes, she is to continue training under the guidance of the church. A few of the church youths snickered to themselves as they glanced at Artemis standing awkwardly in the corner of the main hall. But Your Excellency, how does the Creator choose her champions? And, well, the youths exchanged nervous glances amongst themselves. Finally, one of them piped up. She's your daughter, isn't she? Are bishops supposed to have daughters? Bishop Katrina stared down at the youth coldly. For the first time today, her eyes drifted towards Artemis and caught through her like loathsome daggers. No. Artemis went rigid, her grip around her practice sword growing painfully tight. Artemis was a blessing bestowed upon me by the Creator herself. I was wed to no man, and yet, through an act of divine providence, I was gifted with a child. It was the greatest honor to become an instrument for the Creator's grand design. The children blinked, still thoroughly confused, but altered to simply accept her words. Bishop Katrina sighed and clapped her hands together sharply. Now enough idle chatter. Move along to your duties, all of you. The half-dozen youths nodded politely and scrambled out of the hall. A heavy silence descended upon the cathedral. Bishop Katrina turned towards Artemis' corner of the room. Artemis gulped and straightened her posture. Good morning, mother. Daughter. Artemis felt her mother regard her coldly. She could never tell whether she was pleased or disappointed by something. When it came to herself, it was usually the latter. You were late to your swordsmanship practice this morning, so I heard. Artemis winced and bowed her head. Yes, but only by a few minutes. There's no excuse. You are the chosen one. The world has higher expectations of you than that of a mere knight. My apologies, Your Excellency. I'll do better next time. You say that so often, and yet? Dread crept through Artemis' chest as her mother sighed and rubbed her temples. In any case, I saw that note you left at my door this morning. You wish to speak with me? Yes, mother. Her heart thumped rapidly against her chest. Artemis inhaled and tried desperately to steady her breath. She never felt comfortable while speaking, especially to her mother. Your Excellency, I have been diligently training within the Grand Cathedral since I was a mere child to prepare for my role as the Creator's chosen. But throughout all these years, I have rarely the opportunity to leave the walls of the cathedral, and not once have I stepped foot outside the church district. I understand that the church feels this is the best for my safety, but with no experience of the outside world, I feel very ill prepared for my duty. That is why, Artemis nervously saluted and bowed. Your Excellency, a humble request for a small task or missing outside of the church district. No. Bishop Katrina's reply was immediate. Artemis flinched, completely taken aback. Huh? May I ask why? Artemis gulped as Bishop Katrina stepped close. She circled around her like a predator wearing a cold, harsh glare. Look at you. You know what I see. Flaws. Nothing but flaws. Horrible. Cowardly. Imposter for a night. You can barely even speak without falling apart like a nervous child. Why mere minutes ago, I witnessed you being too intimidated to even strike a conversation with the church youth. Don't even get me started on your training. Mr. Katrina leaned forward until her face was just inches away. Artemy Johanna Gautier, for what I have seen, you are without a doubt the weakest chosen one throughout all of history. Her words pierced Artemy's chest like cold daggers. The young knight took a deep breath in a futile effort to steady herself. Do you wish to take on a mission outside the church and become the laughing stock of the entire city? I don't think so. Stay in the church, continue training, and do as you are told. Lest you bring more embarrassment to the church and our family name, daughter. But I must take on missions if I am to gain experience and improve. You are not even close to ready, and you know it. But are you going to continue such an uncouth argument here, in public, right in the middle of the main hall? This is exactly why you are not fit to leave the cathedral yet. That's better. We simply want what's best for you, daughter. Oh, is this a bad time? The two of them immediately glanced up to see a large polar bear clad in high-ranking church armor approaching them with a jolly grin. Artemy immediately saluted. Knight Commander Grank, good morning to you, sir. Mr. Katrina simply gave the polar bear a polite nod. Grank laughed jovially and patted Artemy on the shoulder. It is a fine morning indeed. I hope I'm not interrupting anything of importance. Your Excellency, would it be alright if I borrowed dear Artemy for a few moments? By all means, this was an unproductive conversation to begin with. Excellent. Come along now, Artemy. We don't have all day. Yes, sir. Knight Commander Grank casually strolled to the far side of the main hall, watching the bishop until she had left the room and was fully out of earshot. Artemy followed closely behind while fidgeting nervously. Knight Commander, you're a very busy man. It would be irresponsible of me to take up too much of your time. Grank laughed and clapped her playfully on the back. Or not. I always have a moment to spare for my finest pupil. I overheard that whole wretched conversation. Relax, young'un. Your mother frets way too much. Here's a little something to cheer you up. They were selling these fresh cinnamon chocolate chip cookies from the bakery in the market district. Help yourself. Artemy's stomach rumbled as he watched Grank pull out a fresh box that filled the air with a pleasant, sugary scent. She shook her head nervously. Thank you, Knight Commander, but I must refuse. As the greatest chosen, I must resist such worldly indulgences. Oh, come on. You used to love these. I am no longer a child, Knight Commander. I must act as a true holy knight should. Well, I'm the commander of the holy knights and I snack all the time. Well, that is very different. Knight Commander, you are an adult. You have things all figured out already. Ha! Grank nearly choked on a chocolate chip. Mother says I must get my act together or I will be a disappointment in saying to the title of the greatest chosen. Grank hummed cheerfully and tossed a box of cookies into Artemy's face. His deep laughter echoed through the main hall as Artemy scrambled to catch it before any pastry scattered onto the floor. Well, as Knight Commander of the church, I'll outrank your all-powerful mother, and I command you to loosen up and have a little fun, all right? It's difficult when the eyes of the world are watching your every move, but remember to be kind to yourself. I suppose. Artemy popped a small cinnamon cookie in her mouth. The rich, sweet flavors flooded her senses A small smile spread across her face. She rarely had the opportunity to enjoy such treats within the confines of the cathedral. Ah, there's that smile. It's good to see my favorite pupil happy for once. Thank you, Knight Commander. Oh no, don't bow at me. Relax. I'm just expressing gratitude for your kindness. You are a very busy man with an endless number of tasks. You really shouldn't be wasting your limited time on me. There's no such thing. Speaking of my tasks, my mini tasks, I happened to overhear your conversation with Bishop Katrina earlier, and I believe I possess the solution to your woes. Rank fumbled through his bag and pulled out a handsome leather box. I, Grank, Stoneborn, Knight Commander of the Holy Church, have a mission for you. Really? The cookie box clattered to the floor as Orderby hastily gave a formal salute. A half-eaten chunk fell from her mouth and straightened a line of melted chocolate across her armor. I gladly accept, but what about my mother? I mean Her Excellency's orders. Like I said before, I completely outrank her. I also completely agree with you. As the Creator's chosen, you'll need some experience with the world outside the church district if you're going to be a worthy protector. So let's start off with a simple yet very important mission, shall we? Grank slowly opened the leather box. Artemis gasped. Inside was an elegant black obsidian crown, its surface shimmering like the night sky. Encrusted upon its facade were four gleaming red rubies, their finely polished surfaces gleaming like freshly split blood. This was surely no ordinary piece of jewelry. Your task is to deliver this package to the prince at the royal package. Apparently, His Highness ordered this black crown to be specifically made for his collections and whatnot. This should be a fairly simple task, but it'll be your first time stepping outside the church district. Why not use this chance to get familiar with the city that you're supposed to be protecting? Go out and explore a bit. There's no rust. There's lots of great snack foods in the southern part of the market district. I am honored to be tasked with such an important mission. Thank you so much, Knight Commander. She gingerly held a small leather box and frowned. Excuse my ignorance, but why are we not addressing the prince as His Majesty? Ah, yes. The young prince is technically the ruler and true king of Axia ever since our late king and queen passed away several weeks ago. Creator bless their souls. His Highness has decided to spend a year studying under the royal advisors and thoroughly learn his duties before attending a true coronation ceremony. The poor boy is still grieving over his parents' recent deaths. To think the kingdom expects him to take their place so readily. Grank shook his head. In any case, make sure this package gets to the royal palace by the end of the day. Are you ready? Artemis nodded furiously. Yes, absolutely. Thank you for this honor, Knight Commander. Excitement bubbled up in Artemis' chest as she clutched the handsome leather box. This was the perfect chance to explore the world she was destined to protect. As unfamiliar with the outside world as she was, this was just a simple delivery. What could possibly go wrong? Anyway, so I'm going to stop right here. Obviously, these two are going to, or these three are going to meet up in so obviously these three are going to meet up and they're going to, be a group. So, about Color the Bonebreaker, the hyena. his father loves him very much. It will do anything for him, like give him a new instrument for him to play. But he hates magic. And his son Cody fears that if he reveals his father that he has magic powers, that his father will get mad at him or maybe disown him. And his father considers magic users or people who possess magic to be weak because they use magic instead of using their physical capabilities. Because his mind, like a true person, is someone a person who's truly strong is someone who is strong physically. So I wonder how that is eventually going to turn out. I mean, that's not going to happen anytime soon, but eventually Collody would have to tell his father about his capabilities. And Sid, he's obviously an adopted child, because his mother is a bird or an owl or some kind of bird. I think she's an owl. And he's a badger, a very large badger at that. And his mother works very hard so that Sid can have a future. She really works very hard at their end to the point where she has a lot of pain. But she does it because she loves her son and wants the best for him. And the father also, we haven't seen yet, but anyway. And Sid keeps getting fired, and so he hasn't been very successful with having a job, and he seems to have a low opinion of himself. There's a lot of ambulance sirens going off around here. That's the reason why, if y'all notice, I've been pausing a lot lately. I've been pausing the video a lot because there's so many ambulances going through here. Because I'm right by an interstate, so it's a noisy area, so I have to pause constantly so the noise won't interrupt the stream or the video anyway. So anyway, it looks like Sid is going to meet up with Cole at his father's mercenary guild, and this will be his newest job. Hopefully, well, I'll spoil right now. He's going to be here a lot longer than the other jobs. Now, he's gonna have more success at this place here because the three of them are going to get close and form a friendship. So I figured since they're all together like that, might as well just spoil a little bit. So about the chosen one here, the creator's chosen one, who I guess is God, who's the creator. Her mother, who is I forgot who she was already, but she's like an official of the church, and the creator blessed her with a chosen one, with a daughter of her own, and so far she considers her daughter to be a major disappointment, and even the kids talked a lot of negative stuff about her, and she's pretty cold towards her daughter, because in her mind she's been nothing but a disappointment, and that if she were to go out into the city, she would be an embarrassment for the church and for the family. And the mother wants to keep her within the church district so she can continue to train. And the fact that she never left the church district, I mean, that's like you been in, you spent your entire life in a small section of the city. I mean, that's kind of gonna make you go kind of nuts, being confined. Like, that's no more different than being like in a jail cell, really. So Commander Grank, who outranks her mother, is totally different. He's very friendly towards her. It's very sweet and playful with her, and he believes in her, even though her mother doesn't believe in her. He still believes in him. I mean, Commander Grank, he still believes in her as a chosen one and wants her to get better, and disagrees with her mother's methods. So he decided to give I've got her name already, but he decided to give her the mission going out into the city and delivering the crown to the prince, who is technically the new king now. So obviously that mission will have her end up with these two other guys here. So this VN has been out for years now, since for about 5 years, and I've played it throughout these years, and I enjoy it very much. So I pretty much know everything that's going to happen. Now, there's been a new update that came out earlier this month, and I haven't looked at it yet. So it's going to be a little while until we reach that new update, because we're just starting the VN. So there's still a lot to go through, a lot more characters to meet. Okay, and I forgot to talk about Hamas. So about Hamas, he's definitely more mature than Cole's father, and he seems to be more like the mother in the relationship. Like the voice of reason and wisdom and all that. So Cole doesn't like him for a reason. He loves his father, his real father, the striped hyena, but he does not love Hamas. I don't know, maybe he does love him, but he certainly has a hostile attitude towards Hamas. And that person we saw at the very beginning, he looks to be someone important by the way he dressed, and he said that the kingdom is rotten and corrupt, and that he's going to change it. I wonder who this person could be. Seems like he talks like he certainly has the ability to change stuff. So he must be in a role that makes it possible for him to change stuff. I know who he is, but I'm just gonna let y'all figure that out. But he's a peacock. Alright, so that was the first video of Temptations Ballad. There's plenty more to go. So Thank you all very much for watching. Bye.